everybody, this is Kira's show here. Now, whenever we last left off, All Might had learned that Deku essentially just destroyed the Nomu, which he would have heard that villain would have said was strong enough to kill All Might from a lot of different students. So All Might feels like he may have made a bad choice with choosing a successor. Now, because of that, All Might is asking Midoriya what they need or what he's going to do for training for the 2 weeks, and he's just saying that he's going to be eating or he's going to be trying to eat a lot of different foods to actually gain his outer shell back. Now, because of that, Deku's metabolism is essentially it's not slow, but it's very he can store the fat faster than a normal person. Now, because of that, Deku's talking and him and Momo would actually talk, and she's saying that she can actually help him with that, but in return, she needs to help him with different types of training and things like that, which Bakugo is actually glad these two are getting along, because he wanted to try and do some training himself at the sports festival to actually build up a special move. Now, why is he building up the special move? Because he thinks that if he needs to, he can use it against Midoriya and actually win. Because he's thinking that the only ways Midoriya would be able to win is capture, and attack for the finals. Which, he's not wrong. Deku could just do that, incapacitate his enemies and just throw them out of the ring. But he would rather not. Now, let's see. Deku and Momo, they are back at her house, and this is whenever they would be introduced to the staff, and they would be getting a very, very big meal. And Deku's essentially asking the staff if they can bring a game station, a bunch of different types of video games and things like that. And they would do so, but they're not really sure why, as Deku would set it up and he would show her a lot of different things from the video games. Now, she would see basically like homemade contraptions, like different types of weapons. She would see Doom Guy's type of armor. She'd see Gears of War 5. Like, really, really top tier stuff. Even the Mad Max Chainsaw Blade. But one game in particular that Deku actually got was Dead Rising 3. If you guys have ever played Dead Rising 3, it is so fun. Oh my god. Anyways, basically, he has told her that a lot of different weapon combination types that he sees in this game might be real, but it's just a matter of making them a bit better. So she'd be looking over all of those and doing all that. And Deku would actually tell her that since they've eaten, as he would stretch, they need to do a bit more, training. Now, Momo is actually she's actually a little above the superhuman level. She's nowhere near Stain, but she's probably at least like a bit 25%. So throughout doing training with her Deku, he'd essentially be able to get her accustomed to fighting enemies that can capture you or just straight up attack you. So he'd be doing some silly training. Well, silly training by, I mean just throwing different types of punches, doing all that, and actually getting her to dodge as she would try using weapon combinations on him. Now, one of the silliest things she would probably try at first is the rubber ducky boxing gloves, which are the best weapon I've ever seen, because I cannot stop laughing anytime I use those. Now, ow. Let's see. The next weapon she would try after that would be she would try to make a pair of She would try and make a pair of firearms, but whenever she does make them, she doesn't like them very well because of how dangerous they are. So she had an idea and she just put rubber bullets in there, as she would be firing them off at Deku. And she would have actually hit him in the head, directly between the eyes, which would have actually surprised Deku, as he would rub that space, saying that he honestly didn't expect that. Now, because of this, they would be doing similar training like this for the next 2 weeks. Now then, after this 2-week period, this is whenever. Hang on for 1 minute. Okay, I just looked up a lot of different weapons for Just Cause 3, and now that I think about it, literally most of them are made with all the intent to kill. Because they're zombie killing weapons, which I kind of feel silly about now. Now, anyways, she would make at least the rubber glove gun. She would have made that, and she would have tried making different things. She would have still made like various different types of firearms, explosives, and things like that, along with actually something she has planned for the finals. If not at least the combat portion of the tournament, where she thinks she might have to fight Deku. Because she remembers that Deku can be overpowered by essentially absorbing too much. Now then, because of this, she has an idea for what to do. So, oh crap, I need to write down something. Okay. Anyways, because of this, she has an idea of what to do. And let us begin with Bakugo's training. Over the 2 weeks, Bakugo has actually just been trying to push himself with full cowling. He's been trying to get it to around 15%, where he found it to be very comfortable, and he's actually trying to slowly increase it. Going up to 16%, 17%, and just 18% slowly, until he's be able to get up to 20%. Now, once he got to 20%, he actually starts to feel that slight bit of uncomfortableness. But he's just thinking if he holds it here for long enough, essentially his body would eventually become comfortable with it. Which he would learn after about 5 to, let's say about 5 minutes to an hour he tried holding it like this, and he would have found out after he turned it off that is not easy to do. So he would have actually taken the day off the next day and begin trying to use it again. But this time he doesn't feel that slight discomfort for whenever he's at 18% to 20%. He just starts feeling barely uncomfortable as soon as he reaches 20, which he finds interesting. So, he would have been slowly just turning it up higher and higher and higher and leaving it on. So, whenever he finds it comfortable at about 20%, he would try to turn it up to about 22 to 23% and just leaving it on at that point. And the reason he's doing that is because he's essentially ripping up his muscles by putting a bit too much power into them. Basically as much as any standard workout would. Now, because of this, him actually doing that and essentially having it on and doing that for a couple hours, his muscles would heal up for about, let's say, the rest of the day until he does it again the next day, essentially building more and more muscle. Now, at the end of the 2 weeks after doing this, I'm going to lowball him and say he would be around 20, I want to say 27 to 30% would be where he'd currently be at. Because sometimes he would feel like he has to take a day off the next day and then do it again the other day. So I don't want to like overpower him and bring him up to like 50% or like 70 already at the beginning of the sports festival. Now, this is one of Bakugo. He would be at around 27 to 30% comfortably. And he's actually really excited for it. So for his last day, he would actually just be relaxing, as he would call up Momo and Deku. He's telling them that he's got his entire thing he's got a lot of different things set up, and he's actually figured out a lot of things about One For All. Which, as soon as he says, he realizes that Momo does not know anything about. So he would immediately just cover his mouth, thinking, crap. As Momo would ask, what is One For All? Deku would say that, oh, it's just his other quirk. She would ask why it's called that, and Deku would ask him if she should know. She would just say that as soon as Deku would say, should she know, she would just tell Deku that it's fine, she already knows all my secret. Which would kind of confuse him even more now. Now, the reason why she said, or was trying to play it off as she didn't know, is because she didn't know if Deku knew. Which now surprises her a bit. So, now that essentially Bakugo can actually talk with it to these two, he's asking Deku a bit more about his own quirk. Which Deku would say that he's somewhat been figuring out more, but he's just been trying to figure out a better plan of attack. Because essentially, unlike Facum, I can actually fight with my quirk without having to use all the body fat. So, one thing he would learn to do is actually bring his hand behind him and actually stretch it a bit, and actually put some body fat behind it, and actually just be able to punch. But this is without releasing the kinetic energy. But doing this is a bit hard on Deku, because essentially he has to redirect his armor from one point to another. Actually giving him, instead of heavy armor on this side, it would give him heavy armor on this side and make this side a bit more easy to attack. Now, because of that, Deku, he's thinking that that's not really the best way to do it, as he would try and figure out a better way to do that. Now, to the sports festival. The sports festival would go similar to in canon, where Todoroki would try and actually freeze the area. I forgot about the speech. Anyways, Deku, he would be saying that he's glad everyone is here, or he is glad that everyone is here, as he sees a lot of aspiring heroes. And he hopes that not only will he plans to become the next number one hero, everyone else will try and strive to be their best, as he would immediately raise his hand and shout plus ultra, which a lot of the students would rally behind. President Mike is saying that that was actually some really inspiring words. Who is that kid? Aizawa would just say that that kid is Izuku Midoriya, and his quirk is fat absorption. President Mike would turn to him and say, kind of like Facum's. He would say almost exactly, but he can do some things Facum can't. Now, after this, the race would begin. Todoroki would freeze the area. As soon as he freezes the area, Deku would just bounce to the top of the ice and just shoot himself off with kinetic energy. Now, after that, after he would shoot himself off, he would actually bounce into the robots, actually using the energy right as he impacts one to just blow it away. And he just starts bouncing in between the two, and as soon as he would be able to build up enough, he would just bounce off of one, destroying it, and bounce off the other's face, actually taking it down. And he would then just go flying, fall into the minefield area, and as soon as he got to the minefield area, he just spread out as much as he can, essentially turning himself into a giant blanket, actually covering the minefield. Now, President Mike's asking what that kid's doing, as the loud sound of a boom would be heard, but there is no smoke. Or it would just be a very loud, muffled sound, as Deku would immediately just get back together and just start running for the finish line. Now, As soon as that happened, everyone's confused, and Todoroki and Bakugo are briefly on their way. Bakugo is actually having to navigate through the ice by breaking it, and he's not trying to strain himself. Deku had already essentially gotten to the robots while he's doing this, and as soon as he was able to get out and start running, before he even got to the first obstacle, Deku was already at the minefield. And Deku would have started running, and he would have actually tried turning himself into a ball and just shooting himself off with more energy, which is whenever Bakugo would have gotten to the minefield area. Now, because of that, Deku would eventually come in first, as Bakugo would come in about 2 to 3 seconds behind him. Now, after this, let us go to the kaveri battles. Everyone's talking, and Momo is on Deku's team because he has a lot of points on his head, and he's actually helped her with her quirk. As Bakugo is on his own team, Ochako would team up with Deku, and Tokuyama would also team up with Deku. Or, actually no, May, Ochako, and Momo would team up with Deku, and Deku's actually pretty happy that essentially his classmates and people actually do see him as strong enough to rely on, as he would not be the writer. Him, Momo, and May, and Ochako, they would be talking and they're asking the best solution. Deku would say that he can essentially capture people in his body fat by essentially just sucking them into it, essentially making them immobile and unable to escape. Which, when they hear, they don't really want to do that, but they think that if it's the best way to stop them from getting their bandana taken, they'll do that, as essentially Deku would hide them, and he's actually bouncing around the arena, actually trying to stop people from attacking. Momo is actually on his shoulders, or she's actually on his shoulder, and May is actually trying to show off her gadgets, but that's not really happening, because Deku weighs too much to actually hover, and Momo is just using like rubber bullets and different types of silly guns and silly things like that, like the rubber ball boxing gun, to actually just fire at people. And the way she did it, she actually made it more spring-loaded, so it actually has more force behind it. So if she were to fire it off a cement wall, she could actually just almost break through the wall. It would just be the rebar that is stopping her in the wall. Now, people don't really expect that, and this is whenever copycat guy, Monoma, he would have tried copying Deku's quirk. As soon as he copies it, he tries to throw a punch with Deku's quirk, and as soon as he throws it, he essentially turns into All Might with his whole skeleton thing, which is whenever he would have actually had to stop and go to the nurse. Now then, after that, let's see, the battles. Okay, I hate doing this to you guys, but the battles I'm actually going to be changing up so that they actually make a bit more sense with the way I want to do the sports festival. So I'm going to be stopping this recording and uploading it, and then I will go over the entire third part of the sports festival all in one video. Because I usually just end off with the Todoroki fight, and the Todoroki fight, not to give any spoilers, but I was going to change up the entire sports festival for this one. Actually, I guess I can... Yeah, hang on. Okay. I've somewhat got this written down. Anyways. How I'm changing up the sports festival is Todoroki. He's going to be where Ayama is. Momo is going to be over where May is, and May is going to be where Todoroki is. Deku versus Sero. Shinsho would be somewhat of a one-sided battle, because as soon as Shinsho tried talking to Deku being friendly, the tail guy would have told him about his quirk, and Deku would have just knocked him out of the ring immediately. Now, after that, I already forgot how I switched up the sports festival. I feel silly. Is it? Yeah, I said May was gonna be right here. Okay. Deku. Oh man, I need to figure this out a bit better. Hang on. Okay, I remember what I did now. Alright. So as soon as that happened, May versus Zero. I want to say Zero would probably win for once, but he doesn't feel very confident with the fact that now he has to fight Deku in the next round. This round would go similar, but it's not fun. Momo versus Ida. Momo would have actually created a thing of marbles and actually just threw them around the entire ring. And I don't know if she can create liquids. And I was going to say she can just throw oil on the ring too, actually helping mess up Ida more. But that doesn't work. Because we don't know if she can make liquids yet. But the marbles would have been enough to make Ida actually just not be able to use his quirk. So she would have actually been able to beat him in combat. So Momo would win. Todoroki versus... No, wait. Well, looks like I'm bringing in big hands. Or Kendo. Kendo versus Mina. Kendo would win. Because I want to say just being able to slap someone with the force of a wall would be enough to knock him out. So she would win. Todoroki versus Tokoyami. So the fact that you can slowly hear emo music playing in the background just starts playing in the sports festival. And while that's going on, Todoroki would just cover the entire area with ice and win. Kirishima versus Tetsu. Kirishima would win, like in canon. Bakugo versus Ochako. Ochako would actually lose, and I thought I was not recording for a second, and that scared me. Ochako would lose, but Bakugo would actually use more of full cowling to win. So he used it at about 25% to just knock her out of the ring whenever she tried to hit him with zero gravity. So Todoroki, or not Todoroki, Deku versus Zero. Zero would be trying to wrap up Deku and capture him, but Deku would have just captured him first. And actually won. Ibarra versus Momo. I'm just gonna say screw it and just give Momo a flamethrower. Or at least like a battle axe. Something like that to actually beat Ibarra. No, how about a flamethrower axe? That's pretty metal. That's pretty metal. Anyway, she would just use that and beat Ibarra. By just cutting through her vines and getting through her defenses. And anytime she would be captured, she would just do that thing where she creates something on her wrist and just is able to slide out of it. Which would help her win. Now, that's... Okay, I can just go over the semifinals for next episode. Yeah, I can finish this off. Okay. Kendo versus Todoroki. Todoroki would beat her by blanking her in ice, and she's telling him that that's cheap because she's not using the rest of his quirk. He would say that he's not using his father's quirk, and she would just say that he's an idiot. As Todoroki would just walk off the ring. Kirishima versus Bakugo. That goes exactly the same with Kirishima just getting the shit kicked out of him. Now, I'm going to be leaving that off of here, guys. So I will be going over the rest of this and the hero killer arc and people's internships in the next episode. So I will catch you guys later.